Hot off the press, Real Madrid have signed Mourinho as their new head coach. And if you know me, I am a massive Mourinho fan. I think he tops even the clubs I support. I support United, but I'd follow Mourinho wherever he goes. I would watch more games. I watched more Tottenham games in that season than I did Man United games when he was at Tottenham. That's how much I follow Mourinho. And for him to have signed again to Real Madrid is just crazy news. Like, I didn't expect it, to be honest, because he has been taking L's recently. Like, Roma, he did all right, actually. He won the Europa Conference League. He got into the Europa League final, which he lost, refereeing decisions. And then he went to Fenerbahce, all corrupt there, really. But yeah, he didn't have a great season there. And then he pretty much, I think he only did one season there. And then he went to Benfica, which again, he had a good season, didn't lose a game. Crazy, but too many draws. I mean, at the end of the day, you could draw all your games the whole season and not lost a game, and you still haven't really achieved anything. And he came third and didn't get in the Champions League. But the one game I do remember watching is the Benfica versus Real Madrid game, the first one. And Benfica were all over Real Madrid. Should have battered them, really, and gone through. But Real Madrid done them over in the next round. But yeah, no, he hasn't really done anything of significance, especially in the big teams in the last 5 or 10 years. I'd say he went from Porto to Chelsea to Inter Milan to Real Madrid, and he won trophies non-stop. Back to Chelsea and won the biggest trophies in football, from Premier League, Champions League, La Ligas, Serie A, and then the top flight trophy, League One. Is it League One? Or some league in Portugal, League or something in Portugal. So he's won all these big trophies, and then when he went to Man United, that is when it started going a bit downhill. But the Man United, considering how much money he spent, and he was facing one of the best teams in a generation with Pep's team, he says that second place finish is one of his best seasons ever, which is crazy to say because he didn't win a trophy, but he still won some trophies there. He had some cracking players, and yeah, I followed that time intensely and obviously wanted him to win more. But he slowly, with all the Pogba, Luke Shaw situation, and also the Man United fans not being behind his pragmatic style of football, which was the best way for Real Madrid to play at the time. Sorry, Man United to play at the time, considering the players they had. Like, they had Martial, and look at him. Where has he gone, really? He hasn't really done anything, and they were expecting Martial to deliver trophies for Mourinho. So I just think, yeah, it started going downhill from there, and his project choices after that were a bit questionable. But I think he was testing himself almost. He's done it at the big clubs. Why not do it at the lesser clubs and bring them some trophies and winners? And don't get me wrong, Man United was struggling before him, Van Gaal, Moyes and whatnot, and weren't getting anywhere, and he came in and won some trophies. So he did push them on to do better, and I think Solskjaer came after that, and then he started doing good, and he got all the credit. But one of the things that rises to the forefront of his era at Man United is the player power. Player power was crazy powerful, and these players that people complain about constantly now, but they supported the time of Mourinho's, like the players like Pogba, great player, inconsistent, and he caused problems probably in the dressing room. But like players like Ibrahimovic was absolute class for Mourinho, absolute class. So yeah, you just look at the situations that's happened. This ended up, I wanted to just do general conversations about football, but we'll just focus on Mourinho. Why not? He's a crack. He's a legend of the game. So yeah, Man United wasn't great for him, but he won some trophies, and then he moved on to who did he move on to straight after United? Did he go to Tottenham? He went to Tottenham, and he did a season there. This is after Poch left, and he was filling that gap after Poch left, and he actually had a good season. at Tottenham in terms of stats. The amount of goals Kane and Son scored, they were playing some absolutely amazing football, and I think that having Mourinho brought out a different side to Kane to what he is today, like the assist and moving further back in the field to assist his teammates, and his passing, he brought that out of him. And those two had a class season under Mourinho. Delhi even had a resurgence under him. So yeah, no, I think he did well in terms of the games and stuff, how they played and stuff like that. But there's too much hate against him, the journalists and the fans. He never had really the support of the board. And to be honest, Daniel Levy, pragmatic board at Tottenham, so you're not really going to get anywhere in terms of signings and stuff. Signed some awful players, and players that were meant to be good that just didn't turn up for him. So yeah, no, that didn't end quite well. He did get to a cup final, which at that time Tottenham had never won a trophy in their lifetime. So, and he got sacked before it, which was crazy, absolutely crazy. So yeah, the Tottenham, I think even going for that project was a bad idea, but you know, it was a challenge, and you know, he never shies from a challenge. But again, that was a start. I think Man United was a shout, to be honest, you know, bring Man United back on their feet. But against a Pep team that's established, that's got the money, the financial backing, you know, Pep can buy a player in the summer. If he's not good enough, he buys another one in January. Mourinho can't do the same thing. So to compete at that level was just, and Mourinho stays short stints at places. So if he's not getting what he wants straight away, then you're not going to get the best out of him. So then you went Tottenham. Obviously, essentially, he hated Tottenham as well. He's kind of attested to that in interviews. And then he went straight to Roma, which I think was a good one. Roma were quite like middle table, weren't really getting anywhere. And he really re-energized the crowd. They loved him to bits. The Roma fans absolutely loved him. A few journalists in there and a few people that always gonna hate, but the fans and everyone loved him. And some of the players under him, like Dybala, were absolutely class. You know, playing some crazy football. Oh, there's what he still plays there. I can't remember his name. Zaniolo was brilliant under him, but then he left. I can't remember the midfielder's name, but he was class. But they had a cracking team, and they got to the Europa Conference League final in his first year, and they won it, which is like crazy because Roma haven't won anything like that in years. But I think there was almost he's going to bring Roma back to the top level of football. He didn't do any signings. He got Tammy Abraham, but any team signing Tammy Abraham isn't like we're going for the best trophies in football. Just not happening. You want to sign like sick players, you get what I mean? So yeah, no, I think obviously because it's Mourinho, you're expecting a lot more. He won a trophy, but is that trophy the trophy that they wanted? Well, they did. Their fans loved it. Then the next season just kind of still went well. They got to the Europa League final, but league-wise, he was poor. And he's been known for his leagues, like smashing in the leagues. So yeah, no, he flopped it. He flopped it league-wise, but then he got to the Europa League final against Sevilla, I think, and then lost against them. But there was some refereeing. I watched that game, and they didn't play great, don't get me wrong, but some decisions just seemed really dodgy. But he could have left with 2 trophies. And after that, he left pretty much shortly after. He stayed on, which, again, bad decision. Shouldn't have stayed on, should have left at that point. But he stayed on, wasn't doing too well, and he got sacked, which he gets sacked all the time and gets a hefty payout. So I guess it's the way to go when you want to make a bit of money at the same time. So yeah, Roma was, I think it was a mix, but overall good. And then he went to Benfica, which was not Benfica, sorry. He went to Fenerbahce, which was a surprise. No one expected. And I think Fenerbahce were just like, let's do something big. And they signed Mourinho. But again, he's going to teams that have got the odds all against them. So yeah, he goes to Fenerbahce. He has some decent players, but again, against Galatasaray that have the best players in the league, Seaman and whatnot, they have cracking players. So if Mourinho was to get those players, it's a different story, but he doesn't. He goes to these teams, they probably promise him the world, but they don't give it. They just want the profile of, we've signed Mourinho. He did have a great season, and Yeah, left after a year. And he goes to Benfica, which is the original Portuguese team that he first managed at, which is obviously a kind of nice story. But again, did okay in the Champions League, lost against Real Madrid. You're not expecting much. You're not expecting to win against Real Madrid. Come on, especially Benfica. And then he does well in the league, doesn't lose a single game, but he doesn't win enough games, and he comes third and doesn't get Champions League. So yeah, no, the plan was for him to carry on. His contract is long, but he doesn't. And the reason he doesn't is because he signs for Real Madrid, which is just amazing, because I think his next job would have been a bigger job. I think it would have been Newcastle, it could have been Real Madrid, it could have been any big top job, and there was a lot out there. Chelsea's even there, but obviously Xabi Alonso got that one. Great manager in my opinion as well. But yeah, no, a lot of top jobs, a lot of sackings this season, so he had his fair share of options. And I mean, Newcastle's not going anywhere with Eddie Howe really, so that would have been a shout. But genuinely, Real Madrid shocked me to the core. Like, I didn't think Real Madrid would do it, because Mourinho is a tough guy to please, and he's kind of cutthroat, and you see a lot of egos with Real Madrid. But the interesting thing is, Mourinho's been there. He managed the egos of Ronaldo, Benzema, back when he first went, Bale. He had all of these stars, and imagine their egos. They're like, Ronaldo's best player in the world, and then there's Gareth Bale, who thinks he's one of the best players in the world, and then there's Benzema, who thinks he's sacrificing everything for his team, but he thinks he's one of the best players in the world. Like, he had Kroos, Modric, he had some of the best players in the world, and he managed them and kicked Pep off his porch at Barcelona. He left, couldn't handle Mourinho. He won a couple of league titles there, couldn't get Champions League, but he brought Real Madrid back to their dominance in La Liga. And then after that, after he left, the managers after that just kept winning. Zidane won 3 Champions Leagues in a row and whatnot. So he set up that team for years and years to come. So right now you've got Mbappe, you've got the Bellingham, you've got Vinicius. You've got egos in this team, and you see it on the pitch. You see it all over. With the media and stuff, you see it everywhere, and everyone makes that joke about Mbappe being the dictator. There's some evidence of that. Like, you can see there's clearly a mismatch. Some players think they're better than others, or some people, you've seen that video of Mbappe not running at PSG, and he caused problems there. So massive egos that Mourinho has to deal with. He's been there before. It didn't go well at Man United, but I think maybe the Man United hierarchy gave too much power to the players there. But I think at Real Madrid, because Mourinho's been there before, and the president Florentino, he will back Mourinho on all of it, and I think he'll iron it all out. So yeah, no, a crazy signing. The signing of the season by far. I cannot genuinely, like, the World Cup is happening, like, that is like every 4 years, crazy. But I am so much more excited about Mourinho at Real Madrid. Now the question is, really, is he going to do well? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. We know he plays a bit more defensive, but when you look at his team back in the day at Real Madrid, it was the best counter-attacking football you'd ever see. And he's got Mbappe, who runs like a bloody, like a cheetah. Then you got Vinicius, and then Arda Güler, who is actually a class player. But at the end of the day, he's going to come in and sign some more players. And I don't know if he signs Elise, if he signs, signs some good players, he's going to have a cracking counter-attack. And if he plays that style of football at Real Madrid, which will work, he's sold it, the Real Madrid fan. I think this is a dream match made in heaven. For a year or two, which he signed only for a 2-year deal, I think it's a match made in heaven. I genuinely think Real Madrid have done the right thing here. And I genuinely cannot wait to see what happens this next season. This is probably the most excited season I've been for a while. Man United, however, we'll talk about that next time. I'm not that excited about them next season. Carrick is not going to do much, in my opinion. If he does, great, but I'm just not excited about the team, the profiling and whatnot. I think Jim Ratcliffe's a bit greedy, but and he's not going to buy us any crazy players because Carrick's done so far well with the current crop. We don't need that. We need a new manager coming in, a good manager coming in, who brings in some new players. We don't want the same old, same old. Anyway, besides the point, next season is going to be exciting. I will be watching those Real Madrid games no matter what. And yeah, no, looking forward to it. I know I said talk about football in general. I have mentioned a few points, but Mourinho is the biggest story ever. Why on earth would I talk about anything else? And I love that guy. I love that guy. So yeah, no. Yeah, be interesting to see who he signs. But yeah, no, watch out for Real Madrid next season. It'll be disappointing now that I've gassed it all up if he has a dead season. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do great in his first season. He typically does, but I'm expecting more in the second season. If he survives it, let's see how powerful the player power is, and who becomes available at that point. But yeah, no, I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed the Mourinho talk, and hope you really understand how much I love that guy.